Good afternoon, good evening to you, believers. Good evening to everybody on Instagram and everybody on Facebook, everybody on YouTube. Hello and welcome. I am Love Coach Dasha, and I'm here today to work with you on getting on the healing path for after infidelity. If you're trying to reconcile, if you're trying to be with your honey after the reconcile, the Healing Hour Live is the place that you need to be able to get to the point where you can feel like you are safe and happy and trusting again. And you absolutely can get to that point. Let me help you with that. Let me get you on the healing path, all right? For those of you who don't know me, I am Love Coach Dasha, and I have been doing this for a few years now. I've been just helping women get to the point where they can forgive and they can reconcile after infidelity. So if you have any questions, I am here for you. I want to hear what you have to say. I definitely want you to be able to come to me. Let me know what you need, and I will try my best to help you because this is a terrible trauma. This is some serious stuff you're going through. You are dealing with the person that you love doing something really treacherous that hurt you really deeply. And of course, you're absolutely right for how you feel. But if you also feel like you want to still be in the relationship, that is absolutely possible. It is not an impossible thing. It's not going to be one of those things where you are just going to be walked all over for the rest of your life. If you do it, you can recover and get back to the really good stuff, the really close connection that you used to have. And I want to help you get there. All right. So, first things first, we always start off with two things that you need to know and start doing right this second if you want to try and get over infidelity. You want to know what those two things are? They are doing your deep breathing and doing your journaling. Have you been doing your deep breathing? Have you been doing your journaling? I need to know because if you are not doing that, you are doing yourself a disservice. You are out here trying to deal with the trauma without the tools to help you to deal with the trauma. I want that to stop. I want that to stop immediately. I need you to start working on these two things right now today. All right. So the first thing is doing your deep breathing. We do deep breathing set called 478 breathing. It is just three sets when we're here together. Three sets of blowing out, getting rid of that carbon dioxide, breathing in through your nose, filling up your lungs, holding that breath for a few seconds so that you can actually use that oxygen, and then blowing out. It is a really good way to get back in control of your brain. You know what's happening inside your brain, right? Your brain is doing the racing thing. It is going a mile a minute, telling you awful things about you and about the relationship and about the situation. And it is always in fight or flight mode. We need to get back our control from our brain. Our brain is on autopilot right now. So the number one way to start to bring your brain back on track is to do your deep breathing. Because if you're doing your deep breathing, you are not in the panic state. You are telling your brain, no, I am safe. I am able to breathe deeply and fully. I am not preparing myself to run or fight. I am okay. Everything is all right. So when you do this, you are signaling to your brain that you're in control and you don't need it to take over and freak the hell out. All right. So that's why we need to be doing the deep breathing. So I want you to do this five times a day. If you are watching on YouTube, you're right there. I have a whole video where you can just do the deep breathing with me. It's like 5 times straight doing the deep breathing. I want you to do it 5 times a day. Just to start off with, to get yourself to a lower level of anxiety, to bring it down a little bit. And then you can taper off after that. But right now, 5 times a day. We're going to do it 3 times together just because we're together and we should breathe and we should center ourselves. So, what I want you to do is blow out, like you're trying to blow out birthday candles. Get your lungs as empty as you possibly can. Inhale through your nose for about four, a count of four. If you can't breathe through your nose, that's okay. I have allergies too. I know that the weather is changing. It's fall now. So you may have a little trouble breathing through your nose. That's fine. Mrs. K Smiles, hi. I'm glad you're here with me. Hey. But what I want you to do is to Inhale as well as you can. So if it's not through your nose, it's fine. If it's through your mouth, that's great. And then you're going to hold the breath for a count of 7. And then you're going to blow out like you are blowing out birthday candles for a count of 8. All right. And I'm going to count you down. We're going to do this together. All right. So, first thing you're doing, blow it out. Make the noise. Inhale through your nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Blow out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Blow out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last time. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Blow out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. How does that feel? How does it feel when you're doing the deep breathing? It should feel pretty doggone good. It will sometimes make you a little lightheaded. It'll give you a little bit of a oxygen high, and that's fine. That's just your brain getting some oxygen. That's great. You'll feel a little tingly. You'll feel a little good. You feel a little bit more alert. You'll feel a little bit more reasonable, sensible, because you are actually pushing oxygen into your brain. You need oxygen to think. That's how that works. So when you are giving your body what it needs, you'll start to feel a little bit better. All right. All right. So if you're here with me now, where am I? I see you. Come on, say hi. Let me know you're here. Say hello to me on Facebook, on Instagram. Shoot, leave comments on YouTube. I'm glad that you're here with me. Hello. All right, so we're doing our deep breathing. We have our deep breathing down. Do your deep breathing, okay? I know it's a very simple thing. I know you're like, that's not going to be enough to make me feel better. It's not enough, okay? It's not enough all by itself, but it's a damn good start, all right? We need to start off in a place where we are calming ourselves, soothing ourselves, not letting the anger and the pain and the frustration and the fear take over our whole reaction. When we start to control our breath, we are starting to control everything about us. So you have to start with your breath, okay? You have to start there. It is the only way you can be fully present in your body is to focus on your breathing in and out, all right? So do that. Do your deep breathing, okay? Second thing is doing your journaling. Now, I got like a million journals over here. Look at this. Itty bitty one you can stick in your pocket. I got ones with writing prompts in them. I've got fuzzy ones that are just empty and you can fill them up with your thoughts. It does not matter. I don't care what journal you use. I don't care what pen you use. I don't care if you use pencil. I don't care if you use crayon. It does not matter as long as you're journaling, okay? Now, it does work better to actually have physical pen and paper. Yeah, it gives your brain more significance. When you just do it in your phone, it's not as significant to your brain, and it's not as tactile. You can't just put your hands on it and like flip pages when you need to if you put it in your phone. So I, if that's the way you got to do it to remember to do it, cool. Don't do it. Don't not do it just because you don't have a journal. Okay, if you got a journal that you use inside your phone, fine. But it seems to give more significance to your brain when you actually put it down on paper. It is like permanent. It tells your brain that this is a thought that it can let go. So I want you to write your date, your time at first thing when you first start journaling, and your level of anxiety, 0 to 10. Zero anxiety is zero. Zero is like, oh, I'm okay. Everything is fine. All is right with the world. Okay. Then there's a 10. A 10 is going to be like a loss of control. You want to rip your hair out, tear your clothes off, run screaming down the street naked. That's a 10. All right. So if you are at a 10, you're probably not journaling, but that's okay. That's all right. If you recognize that you're not capable of journaling, you're like, oh, yeah, I am at a 10. But if you're sitting down and you've got your book open and you're like, you got a pen in hand and saying, I'm starting to write, so I must not be quite at a 10. I have not lost control of myself just yet. It will give you some insight on how you're feeling. This technique, what it does is it puts a fence around those feelings. Those feelings can't get but so big. It can only get a 10 big. That's it. That's as high as it can possibly go. And so then you can deal with it from there down. You can always bring it back down from a 10. If you need to go outside and run around the house a couple of times, if you're at a 10, feel free. Don't do it naked, but feel free to run around. If you, hey Bear, how you doing? I didn't see you. Hello, Bear. Glad you're here with me. If you need to go smash something, feel free to go smash something. If you need to go dance in your living room with your kids, whatever, that will get that anxiety down just enough for you to be able to write in your journal, that's what you need to do. And then when you're writing in your journal, I want you to think about what was happening in the hours leading up to you feeling this bad. What was going on? Because a lot of the time it's like PTSD. When you're dealing with this, you have been triggered way before you recognize that you've been triggered. And part of learning to deal with triggers, which we're going to talk about today, is learning what happens to you when you're triggered so that you recognize it when it starts to happen instead of after you've lost control, after you feel awful. Okay. So that is a key thing. Start writing from way before you think this started. Try and find that trigger, find the thing that got you set boiling a little bit before you realize, before you blew your top. Okay. All right. Anything else about the journaling? Um, do it faithfully. Do it. Take that 5 or 10 minutes for yourself first thing in the morning when you get up. Take that time for yourself before you go to bed at night. It's gonna help. It's gonna help you be more clear and more focused during the day, and it's also going to help you sleep better at night because you've let go of some of the thoughts that are going on in your head before you sit down and journal. So if you're doing it consistently and doing it when you are really triggered off, you're going to have lots and lots of data to look at. You'll be able to go back in your journal and figure out exactly what sets you off all the time because you will have it written down. It's in there. You just got to go back and find it. And that's why you need your dates and times because it might be something date related, it might be something time related. You just don't know. So when you're starting to write these things down, make sure you're writing your date and time, your level of anxiety before and after. If you start writing and then you get to the end of the page and you're like, I feel better, write that down. Write down where you are at. If you were at a 6 when you started and you're like at a 4 now, that's a good thing. That meant that you did something to help yourself. You were capable of doing it all by yourself. You didn't need anybody else to fix it for you. You didn't have to feel dependent on somebody. And that's really hard when you're going through this, when you're trying to repair this relationship and reconcile. It feels very vulnerable to open yourself up and say, oh, well, I want you to try and fix me and help me feel better. If you're able to do that on your own, you're going to feel really good about yourself and you're not going to need that reassurance quite as much. And then you'll be proud of yourself and feeling good about yourself. And that will start to beat back some of those terrible negative thoughts that you have about yourself while you're going through this. So it all works together. You gotta work it, okay? So do your deep breathing, do your journaling. All right? All right. Don't slack. I got a video specifically of doing the deep breathing. So you don't have any excuses. If you get distracted, you have somebody who will walk you through it. I am there for you. All right. Alrighty, let's see what's going on this Thirsty Thursday. I always have such good stuff going on. Nobody posted on the Thirsty Thursday, but I saw some good stuff in the group. If you are not a part of my Love After Cheating group, why not? What are you doing? Why aren't you in my group? You need to come on over there. If you're not on my Instagram, you need to come join me here. If you are not on my YouTube channel, you need to come join me there because that's where I am. All right. I want to give you lots of stuff. I talked yesterday. I did the word of the week yesterday. I was late doing that on YouTube, and I was talking about celebration because I just celebrated my 18th anniversary. You can get to that point. You don't have to feel like your relationship is just over. It's just doomed because of this, and nothing will ever be good again. That's not true. And whoever has told you that, they were lying to you. Even if it was your own brain, it was lying to you and telling you that you can't have that. Because I know, because I have it. I know for sure. I know for positive that it is possible. So I want to know, and I want you to know that, and I want to spread that to you. And I want you to spread it to other people too. Tell other people. All right, so good things that happen. Sammy says she just wanted to share some positivity. There is the sweetest picture of her and her honey, and they are smiling ear to ear. They're so sweet. She said it's been about a year and a half from discovery, been through extensive counseling together and individually since that day. Did so much work. Um, Coming out of this better people, better parents, and better partners for each other than we ever were before. There was a lot of work that needed to be done for both of us. And honestly, I'm so thankful for this new marriage we're creating together and for the new person I'm becoming myself. This is going to change you. That's not a thing to be afraid of, though. That's not a scary thing. There are lots and lots of things that are going to change you in the world. That doesn't mean that it's bad. That means that you take as much good from it as you possibly can and integrate that into who you're becoming. It's a wonderful thing. It's great. You get to be a better version of yourself than you ever were before. You get to incorporate new skills and new things that you have learned and leave a lot of bitterness and baggage behind and get to be somebody that you really, really enjoy being. She also said, last night we celebrated our third wedding anniversary. Happy anniversary to you, Sammy and honey. And had one of the absolute best nights together. It was filled with so much love and genuine happiness. You can recover from this. It's a long, hard road, but you can do this. And it's not even that long of a road. This is about a year and a half. I've seen people have a much longer road than that. I've seen people drag it out for years trying to heal. But you don't have to do that. You can start to heal right this second. And that's my whole job is to get you on the healing path, to get you to understand how you can fix this. All right, let me see. There was something else good. Where was it? Oh, Brittany. Brittany said she just wanted to discuss something encouraging about her journey to healing. She said, I recently started talking to a life coach working on healing and my mental health. I got to a point where I realized I needed help really bad. And yeah, all of us do. We're going through a trauma. You do need some help. He said, let me tell you all, I think it's working. I'm not healing, I'm not even close, but I'm one step closer in the right direction. I see, that's the thing. You gotta move towards the healing. You have to actively be a part of your own rescue. You can't just wait for it to happen to you. You gotta take some of those steps. So she said that her coach had her write down her boundaries and discuss them with her spouse and tell him why they were her boundaries. And one of them is about having the phone locked. And apparently now he is cool with having the phone unlocked around her, and she doesn't even feel the need to keep on checking because it's open. And it's like, okay, well, fine. And so, I understand, we do all have phone locks or whatever. If you have access, try not to use it because that's actually more healing than checking it. When you keep on checking it, it starts to drive you nuts. You keep on wanting to check it. It's like you need to reassure yourself that you're right for trusting. And that's not trust, that's checking. So you got to work on that. But just the fact that the phone is open, she's feeling pretty good and she hasn't touched it. She hasn't put her hands on it because she is actively practicing trust. And I love that. I love that. I am all for that. Very good job, Brittany. All right. Peggy says she went to a Reiki healer. I am super interested in this, Peggy. You got to tell me about it. Message me and let me know what it was like to do the Reiki healing. And she said she did an emotional release healing with me. And she said I walked out of the room feeling 20 pounds lighter with lots of emotional baggage having been released. I have had a couple of people say it's basically hocus pocus and anyone can be right 50% of the time because what they say is so general that it can make it work for my situation. But I believe she helped me release some of my pent up emotions, and I definitely felt less angry and sad since I walked out of the room yesterday. If it works, it works. Yeah, exactly. And I don't need to know how, I just know how I feel. I am with you all the way, Becky. If it works, it just works. Damn, just be take the win and be happy about it. If you felt like you could actually release a little bit from that, and I need to find out about that because I've always been fascinated by that type of stuff, but I just never looked into Reiki as part of the healing. But hey, it might be a thing. All right, we'll go check that out. But I'm so glad to hear good news. It's levels, right? It does not come all at once. It's not all fixed immediately, but you work towards it. You put in work. Peggy went and found out something that was going to try and help her and pursued it and did it and felt better. That's exactly what you got to do. So that is actually what I'm going to talk about this week is the decision. That is the decision portion of the healing process of the dreams formula. I tell you about the dreams formula, and that is the D of it, is making that decision, making the decision that you are going to heal. You're going to try what you need to try. You are going to put yourself out there and you are going to work towards what you want. And when you make that decision, that's powerful. You have had power taken away from you in this situation. You feel like you didn't have a choice. And so your choices are limited now, but they are not. You have the choice to stay or the choice to go. That's all the choices there ever were in this situation. But okay, you've made this decision that you want to stay. So then you have to work towards staying. You have to work towards forgiving and letting this be in the past. And I am super proud of everybody out here this Thirsty Thursday who is just putting themselves on the line and trying very hard to heal and deciding that that's what they want for themselves, because that's the most powerful key. That was the thing that I had to keep coming back to. That's why it was the first thing in the formula, because that was the thing that I had to keep coming back to. The feelings of guilt and shame over, well, I'm so embarrassed that this happened to me. Okay, bad things happen to people all the time. You're not supposed to be embarrassed because something bad happened to you. No, that's unacceptable. We are not doing that. We are not going to just be feeling like we are at fault for bad things happening in our lives. We are only responsible for what we do about it afterwards. That's it. That's all we're responsible for. So we're going to give up all of that guilt and shame and embarrassment, and we're going to move forward with our lives and get what we want instead of hiding from it. All right. And I love that about all of you. I love that you all are such warrior goddesses. I'm proud to be with you. I am. Alrighty, let's see. Let's get down to questions. We got some questions. All right. We want to talk about triggers today. That was a thing. Apparently, we're feeling triggered this week. It's a thing. And that's how it is. Sometimes you're perfectly fine. Okay. Sometimes everything is fine. You're getting along in a relationship. You feel like, okay, I might just get past this. And then bang, hit you like a Mack truck. Damn trigger. And triggers are sensory. Triggers can be just about anything, okay? And they do not have to directly relate to the actual trauma. It could be something that reminds you of something that was associated with the trauma. So that's why it's tricky, because you don't know when it's going to pop up. There are some that you can anticipate. There are things like movies that are about people cheating. Okay, you can anticipate that that's going to be a trigger. Dealing with his phone. Okay, you anticipate. I'm going to have some triggers behind that. Some people have triggers about the notifications going off or the phone ring, that type of thing. You can anticipate those, but stuff like a smell, like you smell a barbecue outside and it reminds you of the fact that the two of them went camping. Like, it's weird. It connects in strange ways in your brain. So you have to be aware of that. When you are fixated on an idea, more than likely that is what is triggering you. So write that down. Write it down in your journal. The thing that keeps repeating in your brain, that keeps going over and over and over again, that is a trigger. You got to dissect that. So it's like, I'm so embarrassed that he did this to me. He doesn't really care about my feelings. Okay, that's pretty obvious. Like that is triggering. You are remembering that this happened to you, and it's not fun to remember that it happened to you because that's the way it is with all trauma. You're like, damn it, why did this have to be me? It's a lot of people. So don't take it. You have to stop taking the fact that you have a trauma personally. That's the key thing for the triggers, because the triggers will try and attack you personally. They will try and say, "Well, you just weren't good enough." That's how this happened to you. You just weren't a good enough girl. You just were not a good enough wife. You were just not a good enough person. You were just not pretty enough. You were just not thin enough. You were just not thick enough. All of the things that you could possibly be. So your brain is trying to tell you, "Oh, you're awful," and it triggers you off. So we're going to stop believing that. No, we can't always believe all of the stuff that we hear in our brains, okay? A lot of that stuff is from the trauma response. The trauma response is trying to get you to isolate. It does not want you to be around people because people can hurt you. So, the last time you opened yourself up to a person, look what happened. So, it tries to tell you anything negative about you, about the situation, about the other person that will make you stay away. And so, it will make wild leaps that you have to start writing down to be able to keep track of. All right. Then there's a feeling, right? And you know how you feel when you're triggered, right? Tell me about it. If you know what I'm talking about, I think you do. Okay. I know what it feels like. I'm pretty sure you know what it feels like too. When you are triggered, it is a physical feeling. This is not just a mental thing because your entire nervous system is involved in dealing with this trauma. So it becomes physical just as much as it's mental. So when you're feeling, okay, what are you feeling? All right. Is your throat constricted? You feel like you can't talk, you can't breathe correctly. Something is going on here. You can't get the air down right. You feel like something's squeezing. Some people feel tension and their temples are band around their head, squeezing. Some people feel their heart pounding, like it's gonna pound out of their chest. Some people feel down in the solar plexus, right under your chest, right up in here, right below where the middle of your ribs is. It will feel like you can't swallow, like you're nauseous, like something is going to come up. All sorts of feelings. So tell me about it. If you know what I'm talking about, what is it that you feel in your body when you're triggered? You need to chase that feeling back to its source. When you first start feeling it, that was when you were triggered. When it's small when it starts, okay? It is not as big when it first starts as it feels when you actually recognize it. When you're actually recognizing it, it has been growing and consuming you for a minute, okay? So what we need to do is we need to figure out what it feels like when it's small before it gets big and overwhelming, before you in the back of the head like a truck. We need to know what it feels like small when it's just a baby feeling. All right. So I want you to be looking at that. Know about that this week. If you want to track down your triggers, you're going to have to figure out what your trigger feels like when it's a baby trigger instead of a grown adult trigger ready to fight you. Okay. So we're going to chase that feeling back, try and figure out what it feels like when it's small inside of our bodies. If you can recognize that feeling when it's small, you can snuff it out easier. If once it's a full grown trigger, it's hard to stop it back then. It's hard to do that. But when you catch it when it's only this big, sitting in your chest or in the front of your forehead, you're like, hey, that's that feeling that starts off me tripping off of a trigger. Then you will be able to conquer it sooner, easier. So you take your deep breathing then. When you starting to feel that little feeling anywhere in you, okay, then you do your deep breathing. Then you do your journaling. You think about what was happening in the time that was going on that you started to feel like that, because that's a clue. That's going to tell you about what the trigger is. Then, of course, sensory triggers are sensory. Triggers are things that you see and hear and feel and taste and touch. So in smell. So you've got to be aware of that. Like I said, sometimes a smell will make a connection that you had no idea of in your brain, and then you try and make sense of it, and you're trying to struggle on top of it, and it's getting bigger and bigger while you're trying to understand it. Don't try and understand it, okay? Just know that it is what it is. When you first have it, when you first see whatever it is, if the notifications going off, that ding gets you every time, just recognize what it is. Now, there are some things that you can do stuff about. He can change the notification ring. It's a very simple thing. Changing that notification ring so it is not the same as it was when he was cheating works miracles. It clears that up for you. It helps you to be like, oh, that's not the same thing. All right. Let your brain know, okay, that doesn't even sound the same as it did when he was cheating. Okay, well, all right, then it's better. And it makes you be able to calm yourself a little bit easier. If it is stuff like, what is another good example? Your memories on Facebook. Your memories on Facebook, that setting can be changed. You don't have to see memories of the time period where you got cheated on. You don't have to do that. You can set it so that you get all the other memories during the year, but the time when you were really struggling, when you were really wondering if you were even going to stay in this relationship, you can get those to like not be shown to you anymore, and so then it won't be consistently reminding you coming up to like the anniversary of D-Day. So that takes care of that trigger. So there's some things that you can do, some things you absolutely can do about a trigger before it even happens. All right, but I say this, but you need to understand that avoiding a trigger reinforces a trigger. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. I need you to come listen to me. Hear me on this, okay? I promise you, I've learned this from experience. Avoiding a trigger reinforces that trigger. It tells your brain that I was right to be afraid of this. She agreed with me. She avoided that thing. So now we're going to avoid that thing forever because then that will avoid us getting hurt. That is the leap that your brain takes when you decide to avoid one of your triggers. So when you're doing that, you're reinforcing it in a loop in your brain. It's this thing bothers me. Okay, so I'm going to avoid that thing. And I was right to be afraid of that thing. So I'm going to avoid that thing again. And it happens over and over again. That's how a phobia is made. That's how people end up with phobias. I used to work in a psychiatric facility, and people would come in and they would be afraid to like leave their house at this point. And I was like, where did that even start? It started with I got into a car accident and I was afraid to get in my car, and I was afraid to go to the store that I was at when I had the car accident. So I stopped going to that store, and then I stopped getting into my car because then it was associated with getting into the car, and then it was I stopped walking outside because the idea of going to the car freaked me out, and I had to stay inside. That is where phobia comes from. When you agree with the fear and allow it to change your behavior, you reinforce it in your brain as new neural pathways. It is a new thing, and your brain is like, oh, okay, new information. We will integrate that and we'll keep it going. And that's exactly what happens. And then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until you can't deal with like day to day life stuff because it all reminds you of a trigger. So, I want you to try very hard. I know this is deeply disturbing because for real, I did not like this when I found out. Okay? When I found out they're uh, following behind and like avoiding the trigger would actually make the trigger worse. I was devastated by that. Okay, that was not my favorite lesson to learn, but it is a lesson you need to learn because it will help you get past the triggers a lot faster. If you can ever do it, face the trigger. Go forward. Feel the discomfort. Feel the fear. Feel the anger. Feel whatever it is you have to feel, but still get through the trigger. Fuck the trigger, okay? Yeah, if the trigger is making you uncomfortable, especially fuck the trigger, okay? So we really need to push past those triggers wherever you possibly can, okay? If it's like a song that comes on the radio and that just reminds you of the time that they were together, listen to that song on blast. sing that song with all your heart. Find something in it that doesn't mean they were cheating. They were cheating on me. Try and reinforce to yourself that you can still have things that are yours just because they have done something stupid. You don't have to give up on, riding in the car and enjoying the radio anymore because they did something stupid. You don't have to do that. All right. So that's a lot to talk about triggers. Do you have any questions about triggers? That's a lot. That's like I'm trying to give you like a deep overview of what I know about the triggers. Because honey, the triggers are treacherous. Yes, they are. My goodness, they will run you down if you're not paying attention. The biggest thing is to be mindful. Be mindful of them. Understand that they are there, and decide back again with the decision. The D of the dream sword. Your decisions are critical here, right? But just decide that you are not going to let this trigger run your life. That's why I always tell you all: do not do what the fear tells you to do. The fear is telling you to do these things because it makes you more isolated, not less. You will be less vulnerable, less trusting, less open, less loving if you do what the fear tells you to do. Because fear and love are two opposite emotions. Everybody always thinks that love and hate are opposite emotions. They are not. It's love and fear. Okay? Love, you want to open up. You want to give to other people. You want to have them in your life and express joy to each other. Okay? Fear does not want that. Fear wants you to close up, clam it up, shut things down, not be open to the person that you love, not be vulnerable and happy and trusting and loving and giving. That's what it wants. Okay? So we cannot do what the fear tells you to do. I'm trying to tell you, it will lead you wrong every time. I promise you that. Every time you are doing something out of fear. Um, as someone, if you want to say that it's you out, that's cool, but I won't say who it is. But told me the other day that she was freaking out about his phone. She was like, "Oh, he got off the phone when I got near him," and she starts crying. And instead of like just controlling that and not going down that path with the fear, she allowed herself to just be like, well, okay, I'm crying about it now. And then he's like, okay, well, what is wrong with you? What's going on? Why are you crying? And she's like, I don't want to make you mad. And he was like, oh God, no, it's something terrible. And then she's like, oh, you're always on your phone. And he had no idea what she was talking about, no clue whatsoever. He was like, I I just didn't make the call. I was gonna make a call. I didn't make the call. He was like, I don't understand what you're saying. The fear will lead you to believing the worst all the time. And that's not the way you want to live, is it? Is it? I don't think it is. You tell me, IG, you tell me in Facebook, you tell me on YouTube, is that the way you want to live? I don't think it is. I am pretty doggone sure that you want to live a life where you're happy, you are not suspicious all the time, not having to cry over feeling just insecure and feeling like something's wrong all the time. I don't think you want to have to live like that. So we can't be doing what the fear tells us to do. We cannot follow what the fear is saying because it's lying to you. Lying, lying to you. All right, I think that's like all I got on the off the top of my head on the triggers. Any other questions about the triggers? If you get triggered and you're like at a 10 out of 10, go break something. I am the queen of going to the thrift store and getting the very delicate little teacups and saucers. I will smash them. Oh, it feels so good to just smash something that's little and delicate when you're mad. It's like you just, and then shards might hit you, and then you're like, oh, okay, let me calm down. But just watch out, wear some pants, so the shards don't come back and smack you in the legs and make you feel mad about that too. But it is very freeing to go ahead and just smash something. To go run around the house, like I said, go dance. I am a dancer. I That's what I do when I am stressing. I'm gonna go dance. I'm gonna go shake off some of this extra energy and feel better because I'm doing that. So, you know, that use the energy, use what's going on with the trigger. The trigger is like a fight or flight response. It wants you to either fight or run. You can't fight with your husband. You can't fight with your mate. So let's go ahead and run. Let's go ahead and do some activity so that we can burn off some of that adrenaline so we can calm back down. All right. That makes sense? I hope that makes sense. Jody wanted to know about the triggers. Beth wanted to know about the triggers. Yeah, the triggers are serious, man. They're treacherous. They'll get you if you're not paying attention. You gotta watch them. They're very sneaky. Very, very sneaky. All right, you said, yeah, that's you. Oh, everything like popped up at the same time right there. Okay. You said the fear sucks. Jennifer, it does, right? It really does. And we don't want to be living like the fear wants us to live. You know what the fear wants. The fear wants you to be isolated and all alone and just scrolling through social media by yourself and never going anywhere and never doing anything because it wants you to be afraid because bad things happen out there in the world and around other people. And yeah, yeah, okay, fine, but good stuff happens too. Yeah, that's why I do Thirsty Thursday all the time. You can't forget the good stuff happens too. All right, the fear really does suck. Felicia says sometimes when they do things that reminds you of when they cheated, it triggers. When they do something, it doesn't even have to be them. It doesn't even have to be them. That's the crazy part about a trigger. It doesn't have to be them. They don't have to have done anything at all. They could just be sitting there reading a book and reading a book. Did you read to that bitch? All of a sudden, okay? So it doesn't even have to be anything that they're doing wrong. And recognize that when you're dealing with the triggers, try to remember it's not necessarily about them doing something wrong. It is about how your body and your brain are reacting to the trauma. Okay? Because sometimes you'll get confused about those two things. You'll feel like it, since you feel so bad, they must be doing something wrong. Does that make sense? He feels like, oh, well, I feel awful, so they must be wrong. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that. Triggers will come whether they're doing something wrong or not. All right. And and they come more when good stuff has been going on. When you've been having really good times and when it's been a few weeks and everything has been fine and you've been loving on each other and you've actually been having sex and you've been feeling into it, all of a sudden your brain is like, you're letting down the wall and it just slams you with a trigger so that you're freaking out again. So recognize that too. When things are going well, allow them to go well and recognize that they're going well. That's why you need to journal about the good stuff too, so that you recognize that good things are happening and you don't automatically default to the negative like the trigger wants you to do, like the anxiety, like the trauma wants you to do. All right. Sometimes just thinking that's a trigger. Yes, yes. That does happen, Jennifer. That is very true. Sometimes just their face, just how you sitting there looking like that. It will trigger you to see them sometimes. It really does. Sometimes an outfit that they're wearing. Sometimes, if they got the smell goods on. My husband loves smell good stuff, and I am super allergic. So, like, back in the day, if he was wearing some smell good stuff, I was like, that I'm allergic to that. So you must be going to see a girl. You must be trying to cheat on me. Not even necessarily so, because he just loves it. He just loves that stuff. He loves to smell good, and I am super allergic to like all of that stuff. So it wasn't even about anybody else. It was just about him. But it triggered me. It did. He said if I let that trigger take over, I start making up scenarios in my head. I bet he did this. I bet he did that. Yes. Hey, Carol. How you doing, Carol? Over on Instagram. Hey there. Yes, that is absolutely what happens. You start making up completely false scenarios in your brain that did not happen. Your brain is lying to you. I promise you. With trauma, you have to recognize that it feels true. Okay, it feels super true. Everything that your brain is telling you feels like it is the gospel truth, and it is not. It is most of it lies. Okay, most of what your brain is trying to tell you is lies or real big exaggerations. You will, I think, that was you. I told you always and never. No, it was Jennifer. I said always and never. When you're saying always, all the time, he always does this, and he never does that. That is your brain lying to you because he does not always or never do anything. That is not true. You know that that is not true, but it feels like the truth when you're in that traumatized, pain-filled state, and so it seems like it's the truth. So I'm gonna just say it. I'm gonna run with it, and it's not true. That's the whole thing you need to recognize. It's not true. And when you can start to catch your brain and tell your brain, hey, wait a minute, that is not true. That is not. I heard myself say always, and I heard myself say never, and I know that that is not true. I know that that's not even possible. Oh, I'm lying to myself. Let me get real and be real about what is actually happening. If things have been going okay, don't just sit there and try and pick it apart and say, oh, well, he never does anything nice for me just because things have been going okay. Because again, that's what your brain is trying to do. It's trying its very best to give you a false message about how terrible this person is, how terrible this relationship is, and how terrible you are for being in it, so that you back off and isolate yourself and don't let yourself be exposed to being in love with this person anymore. So it's lying to you. Don't believe that. Don't believe that. It'll make up scenarios that never even happened, never would have happened ever in life. But it seems like it's possible when you're freaking out. Generally, that makes sense. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it goes. It will make you make up stuff that didn't even happen. That wouldn't happen. You're like, well, what am I talking about? I don't know. This is the fear talking. The fear said that's what happened, and then it freaks you out. All right. All right, y'all. Let's see. Last question I got. Jennifer. Jennifer, you getting in on the last question. Jennifer, this is a good question, Jennifer. For real, for real. How to really focus on myself. What? I am loving that. That's a good question because that is the question, right? A lot of this can be done. A lot of your healing is going to be done on the inside while you're focusing on you. All right. And then you will discover that healing is occurring in the relationship because it's occurring in you. All right. So that's the first thing. That's the first thing you really need to know is if I focus on me, the relationship is going to get better all on its own. I'm not going to have to work so hard on the stuff between him and I if I'm working on being the type of woman that I really want to be. When you are doing that, when you're working on being forgiving and loving and trusting and honest and vulnerable and just compassionate, lovely woman that you are, that changes the relationship all by itself. It is a flow that you don't even have to worry about him as long as you're worried about you. So keep that in mind as you're going forward, as you're really trying to focus on yourself. Remember that focusing on yourself actually helps everything. You are important. That's the whole takeaway from that. And people just so many women I work with just cannot believe that. And it's so hard to just accept that I am important and I am lovely and I am loved and I should be here and I should be interacting with people and people should be interacting with me because I am a great, great person. And when you start to do that and start to pursue being a great, great person, all the relationship stuff kind of takes care of itself. So I want you to just feel that, be in that for a minute, and just tell yourself, I'm important. I am worthy of my focus. He's worthy of your focus. How come you're not worthy of your focus? If you're not worthy of your focus, then why would he believe that you're worthy of his focus? Right? That to me, that just try to make it all make sense. If you don't feel like you are worthy enough to give yourself that focus, then he's not going to believe it either. You are showing how you want to be treated. You are telling people how you want to be treated by not caring for yourself, by not giving to yourself, not really focusing on yourself, giving yourself some kind of life besides, okay, I take care of the kids, I take care of the house, I take care of him. What do you have that's just you? What do you have that is all about Jennifer, all about you, all about what you want, all about the mark that you want to leave on the world. Not these kids, not this husband, not that. What do you want to do to actually change the world? And when you start to focus on that, you get inspired. You realize how great of a person you actually are. So you don't have to keep on sitting there and questioning yourself and being like, oh, well, should he love me? Of course he should love me, damn it. I am fantastic. Yes, he should. And when you really focus on yourself like that, it becomes so much easier to believe that you're loved because you're doing something great and worthwhile for yourself. He said, like, I think I'm focused, and all day long my brain is, what's he doing? Where's he at? What is he thinking about me? Blah, blah, blah. My brain is all about him. That's why you gotta have a life. Okay? That's, I say that all the time. That is one of my favorite things to tell you all. Get a life. Okay? You need something that is you. You need to make time for it. Do not make the excuses. Oh, I have so much stuff to do with the kids. And I have to make dinner, and I have to do this, and I have to do that. Stop giving yourself excuses to make yourself last. Okay? Everybody else is going to pay attention to that. Everybody else is going to be like, oh, she makes herself last, so I should make us last too. And then you're not showing that you know that you're worthy. And so then you can't be mad at everybody because you're doing it to yourself too. And then you feel so bad, like I'm not getting what I need, but you're not giving it to yourself. So I need you to get a life, okay? I need you to have something that is just you, and you carve out that time. You make that time just for you, okay? When I first started doing this was my thing. This was what I was doing. I wrote a book. I became a relationship coach. That was my thing. That was the thing that I was going to give back to the world. Yeah, we had issues, yeah, whatever, but I knew some stuff about relationships at that point, and I was like, I've got some stuff to share with people. And so that's what I did. I wrote my first book, The Wifey Handbook, available on Amazon. I wrote that bad boy in a very short amount of time. I had been taking so many notes about working with couples already that the book just kind of flew out of me. And so I took that time, hours in a day, sit down at my computer and write on my computer. And he would have to stop me. He'd have to like come and be like, hey, I want attention, be in my face. And I'd be like, okay, fine, and close the computer and put it down and give him some face time. That was a key thing. That was clutch right there. I actually wrote about it in the book because when I had my own life, when I wasn't in his face and thinking about him every 5 minutes, guess what happened? He started thinking about me more. What? Who knew, right? Until you actually do it, it's like gold when you find out that that's all you have to do is actually focus on yourself, and you'll get more focus on you. Who knew? Who knew that giving to yourself would get you what you wanted? But it does. And so I want you to work on that. I want you to work on having a thing that you give yourself a couple of hours to do every day. And you're, hey, look, the kids cannot disturb me. I gotta have this couple hours. I gotta do this. This is the thing that I'm doing for me. This is the thing that I'm doing for the world. This is the thing that I'm doing that makes me feel like life is worthwhile. I have my own life, my own thing going on besides you people. Because your whole life can't be taking care of your family. It can't. I feel extremely fulfilled doing this. This is me getting a life. This is what this is. Me helping you is me getting a life. Okay. And I feel extremely fulfilled about this. And I feel very positive about what I'm doing and about how I'm affecting the world and how I'm affecting myself. I am becoming who I want to be. I am the type of woman I wanted to be a CEO. Damn it, I became a CEO. I want to be an author. I became an author. So I'm working on that. That's what I'm doing in front of you. That's why I'm going ahead and putting myself out there and talking to you on Facebook and doing the lives and telling you all this because this is my thing. All right. This is the thing. This is my zone of genius. This is my life work that I feel like I can do this. I can change the planet around me and I can leave a mark that will say that Dasha was here. Dasha was here and she changed some things. She changed some people's lives. Just the people's lives that I've changed so far. is fantastic to me. And it makes me feel like I am worthy. Of course I'm worthy. I'm out here putting myself out here into the world, trying to make the world a better place in my way. Because it could be any way. Don't think that it has to be this way. You can make bath bombs. You can make jewelry. You can write a book if you want to. You can, go out and teach something. You can go out and learn something. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is that is your thing that gives you some fulfillment, it's going to help you to pay attention more to yourself. All right? That makes sense? You feel me on that? You feel me on that? Fantastic. Jennifer, that was an excellent question. I love that. Because that's super important. You need to be doing that. You need to be giving yourself that. Oh, I got. Oh, okay. Facebook user. Okay, let me see who that is. Because I can't see. Oh, and if you're gonna meet up with me, if you're in the group, go to streamyard.com/Facebook, and what it'll do is it will ask you for permissions for me to see who you are in my studio because I can't see it unless I go into the group. And I see somebody said something, but I can't even find my doggone feed right now. All right, let me see. What'd you say? Somebody said, I feel like I'm never going to trust him again. I trusted him 110%, and he showed me someone I never knew existed. Well, see, the problem with that is when you're falling in love with somebody, you purposely like overlook their faults. So you probably knew deep down that this was a possibility. He's a person just like any other person. We're all capable of fucking up, okay? Just on the strength of being people, because humans are not perfect. We will mess up. So deep down, you were giving this trust. If you're saying that you were trusting them 110%, that meant that you really, really, really wanted to trust him. Most of the time, when you first start off with somebody, you are offering trust because you like the person. It is not usually because, oh, they have shown you that they are super trustworthy. That's not actually what usually happens. Usually, what's happening is your hormones are going and you are falling all in love, and your brain tricking you again, trying to get you to be closer to this person tells you, oh, they are super trustworthy. Oh, they are super trustable. You should put all your trust into them. And that wasn't right from the very beginning. Okay. Oh, Carrie. Okay. Yeah, that wasn't right from the very beginning. That was just your hormones reaction trying to link you up, trying to make you be a pair, trying to make you get together long enough to like have children. It's a feeling that lasts about 7 to 9 months. So it's trying to keep you as a pair bond long enough for you to reproduce. Okay, that's what was happening. So it was never actually realistic to trust him like 110%. He is a person. Okay, you trust him to be a person. You can 100% trust him to be a person. Okay, absolutely. So that includes the bad stuff about people too. That doesn't mean trusting somebody 100% does not mean that you trust them to never do the wrong thing. That's not even a realistic standard. That is, I trust this person to be a person. I trust them to be a real person. I trust them to mess up. I trust them to try and fix it when they do. I trust them to love me. I trust them to try and give me that love as much as they possibly can. And I trust them to have roadblocks to giving me that love because we all do. That tell me if you tell me a person that got a roadblock that doesn't have any roadblocks to love, I'd probably be showing you an alien. Because for real, as humans, that's what happens. We do the wrong thing. We do the wrong thing all the time. And we just have to realize that about everybody else and trust everybody else to know that that will happen. And then if this is somebody that you're going to have in your life, you have to trust them that, okay, well, if this does happen, they'll try and fix it. They'll try and do better the next time. They'll try very hard not to hurt me if they possibly can avoid it. Because sometimes, as they say, hurt people hurt people. And sometimes they're hurting in a way that you don't understand. A lot of the time, as a matter of fact, especially with the cheating, they're hurting in a way that you don't understand. and you didn't even recognize, you didn't even realize it was there at first. And they are hurting, and then they lashed out and they hurt you as collateral damage to their own pain. It wasn't even about you. It wasn't about your trust. It wasn't about your love. It wasn't about your loyalty. It wasn't about you at all. It was about them having pain that they wanted to try and medicate, that they wanted to try and fix. And you can trust people to do that. You can. But you can also trust that you can be a sounding board. You can let them know, hey, if you are hurting, tell me. I want to hear about it. I want to know what is going on in your brain that would make you feel like it was okay to do that, because it must have been something serious. It must have been something super painful that made him think that doing something that painful to you would make him feel better. That it's warped thinking that happens from being in pain. Physical pain, mental pain, all of that stuff, all of the different types of pain affects your behavior. You do things wrong when you're hurting. So I would say just to allow yourself to trust him to be a person, to be a flawed individual, and just because he is flawed doesn't mean that he is any less worthy of your love and your trust. That doesn't that doesn't make any of us less worthy. It just makes us people. It just makes us human beings who have flaws, who need that love to fix the flaws. If we don't get the love, the flaws are just there. They're just there forever. Love heals a lot. Love heals a lot of the stuff going on inside. Love heals a lot of the pain that you're going to deal with trying to reconcile. Love does a lot. It does a huge job in our lives, but we just have to recognize that we're still worthy of it anyway. You know, even when they're doing something wrong, even they can be wrong as two left shoes. You can still love that person anyway and decide that you want to trust them. Oh, the key word for the day, decide that that's what you want to do. And let me just say, doing that is transformative. When you decide to give that trust back and you say, this is a person that I care about, and I'm going to offer that. Because again, you didn't have any reason to trust them in the first place. More than likely, when you first started falling for them, you just trusted them for the heck of it because your brain told you to. So you're going to say, okay, well, I'm going to carry on with that. That was the standard. That was what I did. I fell in love with them and I decided to give them my trust. So I am going to do that again. I am going to choose to fall in love with them and choose to give them my trust again. And when you do that, doing that with your eyes wide open, knowing that they're a person that could hurt you, knowing that he is capable of doing things that you didn't imagine he was capable of more, you will recognize how much you have to love this person in spite of all that. And then that will show through to them too. They will recognize that you must really, really love me in order to forgive me for this. This was serious. I understand how big a deal this was to you and how painful it had to be for you. And you still chose to say that I was worthy. And that right there, that is the thing that makes them never cheat again. Is to understand that they are actually worthy, that they are loved by somebody whose love is really real, and somebody who will love them in spite of their flaws. That is the thing that makes them never cheat again. Just to understand that you have that type of love in your life heals a lot of the broken that allowed them to do that in the first place. So that's what I had to say about that. I say trust. I say every time there is an opportunity, trust. If there is a choice, trust. If it's like I could not believe in him or I could believe in him, believe him. Okay? I don't think that you were wrong for the choice. I don't think that you were wrong for the person that you chose. And I don't think that if you went ahead and gave that trust, I don't think that you would regret it. All right. It is going to feel icky. Okay. Promise. Cross my heart. It's going to feel terrible. But all you need to do is get past the icky feeling. All you have to do is get past that, oh, I don't want to. I want to hold back. I don't want to be. open and vulnerable for somebody and just do it, throw the doors open and trust them every time you get the opportunity, changes your whole life. Changes your whole life and it changes their life too. And it makes you feel like you are freaking superwoman and you can do anything. Right? So open that door whenever there's an opportunity to trust, decide to trust. All right. All right. That's it. I'm over my time. I've been talking for over an hour now. Any other questions, comments, thoughts, complaints? I don't see anything else. I absolutely love talking to you people. Okay. This is one of my favorite parts of the week. I have lots of favorite parts of the week. I try and see things very positively. I wake up in the morning, I do affirmations. I make great gratitude lists. I really do every day. I tell you this stuff. I do this stuff. Okay, I don't. I'm not just telling you stuff that I read it in a book and I felt like it would kind of work for you. No, I tell you the stuff that I actually do. And this is just one of my favorite times of the week. I love to talk to you all. I love to hear your questions. I love to answer them for you. So make sure that you like and follow me on Instagram, that you come to my Love After Cheating group. If you are not in it, come join me. Go like my or subscribe to my YouTube channel and get all of the areas where you're going to be able to reach out to me and talk to me because I want to help you get on the healing path. All right? Come on. Come with me here. I'll offer you my hand. You come on and we will walk on the healing path together. We will figure this thing out. You can get to the point of reconciling. You can get to the point of being healed. You can get to the point where it doesn't hurt anymore. I'm there. That spot in my chest, it was right there. It was right in the center, and it made me feel like I couldn't breathe. And that spot is gone now. There's no more pain. And I know you can get there too. So that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to try and get you there. So DM me, message me, email me. And speaking of which, the great Facebook and Instagram outage the other day made me think about the fact that if the stuff was down, I can't reach out to you. But I do have an email list too. So send me your email, dasha@loveworthkeeping.com. Send me your email so that I have your email. So if God forbid the social media gods decide to rain on us again, I will be able to just send you an email instead of worrying about social media. All right, Dasha@loveworthkeeping.com. All right, y'all. That's it. Thank you so much for joining me this week for the Healing Hour Live, and I will be back again next Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Healing Hour Live. Remember until then to stay on the healing path and do not do what the fear tells you to do. All right, make healing choices, and I'll check you out again next time. Bye.